Howdy do, Rangeroos. Okay, today we're going to be playing around and doing a little bit more with the constraints tool. And you can see we have this old-fashioned, very high-tech shape. It's not actually anything, it's just a shape. And the big things that you're going to notice around here are these lines. These are the constraints that are going on. Now, the first thing that I want to show you with the constraints is this menu right here, the left. And if you you ever encounter Autodesk Inventor and this menu is gone, just a reminder, you can go to View, then User Interface, and Model, and you can see that disappears and then reappears. So this right here, if you don't have sketches or anything, hover over your sketch, right-click. You can see if I click on Hide All Constraints, all those are gone. If I click on Show All Constraints, you can see the lines are back. Hide. And show. So this is where we're going to get started now that you have that brief lesson right there. So I'm going to be going back and forth between this just so that we can talk a little bit about it. So in order to get this started, I'm going to File, New, Part, just like we always do everything. Start a 2D sketch. Choose the XY coordinate. Now, all I'm going to do is start with a basic line. Now, this is where you're going to say, but what about the dimensions? Don't worry about any dimensions or anything like that right now. So right there, I just drew a line. Now, I want you to draw a rough approximation of the shape, but I want you to intentionally get it wrong. So I went to that line. Okay, instead of going directly up and down, go at a slight angle. And then, right there, then like so. And it's okay if they're, a little bit off right now, because all I'm doing is giving myself a very rough approximation so that we can go ahead and talk about the constraints. Where's my N there? There you go. So you can see that there is a definite difference between this part and this part right here. Now you might be saying, well, why did you do this? This is craziest. But this is what I want you to do so you can see the power of the constraints tool. Okay, so let's talk about constraints. This first line right here, this first line is horizontal, so we're good there. Now what I want to do are change these two lines to perpendicular. So if I click on the perpendicular constraint, perpendicular, clicky clicky, clickety click, and you see that it jumped right there. Same thing, perpendicular, clickety clickety. So you see that these just appeared right there, and that's absolutely awesome. Now what I want to do is have a little bit more. I want these to be equal. So I clicked on the equal constraint, click there. Hang on, got a whole bunch of stuff going on. My constraints disappeared, makes me all sad. There we go. So I've got all my constraints there. You can see that, let's see, I'm going to delete these constraints because I don't want them there yet. And you can see I can move this around a little bit. So we've got perpendicular. And I want to double check that they're equal. Okay, so you can see I've got my perpendicular, I've got equal. So that means they're always going to be 90 degrees right there. And these are always going to be the same length. Now, the next thing that I want to do is right here. I want to equalize these. So equal. I want that to be equal, and I want that to be equal. And you can see that, it just snapped right there. Now I also want, let's say, parallel. So I want this to always be parallel to that. You can see that this pops up over constraint, and that's okay. Double check there. Over constrained, that means it can't be constrained anymore. It's already constrained. If you're wondering, you can also check perpendicular right there, over constraint. Now, let's see a little bit more. I obviously have an open section, but I want this to be horizontal. So parallel right here, right there. And you can see that, right there, clicked right onto it. Let me close this shape, through our whole thing right there. It got a little bit crazy. And let's see, I want these to be equal length. So right here, equal, right there, right there. And they are equal length. Now I want these to be equal length, right there. And let's see, got that parallel. Okay, so I know it's not the right shape yet, but don't worry, we're going to be getting there. The interesting thing about a object when it's constrained is you're going to be able to move stuff around here and have it maintain its size and everything. So right there, I can click this and drag it up. I can drag it down. I can move this over. Now let's fix these that are a little wonky. I want these to be perpendicular, so I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click the base right there. You'll see it snap up, and the same thing, that, and you'll see it snap up. So we've got our rough shape, but you can see with the constraints and everything, if I start moving these things around, it moves as a constrained object. So now that we have our constraints done, and there might be some constraints that I missed or forgotten, and so that's okay. It's just this is just sort of understanding what's going on. We want to go ahead and start doing some dimensions right here, so it actually looks like that. The first thing that we're going to do is, since we're working on this, change it to metric. So tools, and then document settings, units, millimeter, and then apply. So now I'm going to be able to dimension in metric. So again, if you weren't paying attention, we're right here. Tools, document settings, units, millimeter right there. Now the first thing that we're going to do is, you'll see that our base is 100 millimeters. So I am going to, let's see, let me finish this, then right click, edit it, so I'll clear out any craziness that's going on. Dimension, click on it, and change it to 100, and that goes to 100 millimeters. Now you're going to go, wait a second, it's all wonky. What the heck's going on? Not to worry, because remember, it's all constrained. This is next at 15 millimeters. So let me zoom in, dimension, and 15 right there. I can zoom on out. You're like, oh no, what's happening here? This is craziness. Remember, it's equal, so this is 15. That's 15 as well. Let's look at this one right here. And that is 20 millimeters. So right here, 20. And that is constrained as well. And you might be thinking, the sky is falling. What's happening? 45 millimeters from the bottom to the base. So dimension, bottom, to the top. Let me drag that over here. 45 millimeters. So we're getting a little bit closer to what we want it. Then we've got these, which is 15 millimeters as well. And that should be just about everything right there. So you can see, oh, no, I forgot this top piece at 20 millimeters. You should have stopped me. 20 millimeters. There we go. So that is our shape that's been constrained, and you can see that it moves all around here. And we know mathematically and with the computer and everything that everything is there and good. So you should be handing in something that looks a lot like this right here. I want to see all the constraints that you put on there. So again, if you can't see them, it is right here. It is, let me edit sketch. It is hide all constraints. See, they're all disappeared there. Or just, whoops, I didn't want to do that. A back arrow. And show all constraints. There we go. So you're going to hand me in a screenshot where I can see all your constraints and I can see your metric dimensions as well. I know that this is kind of a confusing one. I know that this is a little bit more freestyle than you're used to, but it's showing you all the powers of the constraints and how once things are done and constrained that you can have a little bit of fun with them. Okay, so stop this video, rewind, and replay as many times as needed in order to get the concept.